All right, guys, so up to this point, we've built an actual Node.js Express application using Mongoose and Handlebars and some other helpful modules, but it's very basic. There's no authentication. There's no way to basically separate video ideas between users. So when it comes to authentication with Node.js, it's almost always with Passport or Passport.js. Passport is an unobtrusive authentication module or suite of modules for Node. Now, it does say simple unobtrusive authentication, but I couldn't look you in the eye and tell you that Passport is simple. Once you grasp it, it can get a little easier, but at first glance, it's pretty damn difficult to understand, at least in my opinion. Now, Passport is very, very powerful and very flexible and modular. You can use Passport on 10 different websites or applications and have them all work in a completely different way with a completely different file structure. All right, so I mean that can be confusing, but that's also very powerful because you're not stuck with one way to do things. So there's different strategies. Right here it says 300 plus strategies, and we can click View. And you'll see that it'll list all the different strategies. Now, what we're going to be using for this project is a local strategy. And what that means is that we're going to store our credentials right in our local database inside MongoDB. Okay, we're going to encrypt the password with something called bcrypt, and we're going to store it there. In the next video, we're going to use Passport Google OAuth. Okay, we're actually going to use the 2.0 version, which will allow people to log in with their Google account. All right, and you're going to see the difference between the two. That's why I wanted to use two different strategies in both projects, so you could see the initial Passport setup, which is going to be the same, but then you'll see the different ways to implement different strategies. All right, so hopefully the way that I explain it and show it to you makes sense, and then maybe you can move on and you can start to use some of these other strategies as well. I mean, there's just a ton of stuff. You can log in with Dropbox or GitHub or LinkedIn. There's just a ton of different things you can do. You can use web tokens. For instance, if you're building a mean stack application, you can make it so your back end sends a web token to your front end, to React or Angular, sorry, and then you can authenticate that way. All right, so it can get very complicated, but again, it's very, very powerful. Whoops. Now, for the documentation, the documentation does basically show you everything you need to do, but in my opinion, it doesn't do it in a good way. It's very mixed up. It's not like, start at the top and then, it's not like a list of instructions. It's just all over the place. So basically what we'll need to do is create a route. So for instance, we'll have a login route. We'll submit a form to post login, and then it's going to call whatever our strategy is. In this case, it's the local strategy. Okay. And then we'll just, whatever happens after we authenticate, we'll do here. But what this is going to do is it's going to look for a strategy called local, which if I go down, let's see, where is it? See, this is what I mean. Everything is very spread out right here. So this is how we would create a local strategy. We bring it in. Okay, so we're going to be installing both Passport and Passport Local. We want to bring in the strategy, and then we want to use this syntax here. Basically say new strategy, and then define how it's done. And how it's done is we look for a user. Okay, so when someone tries to log in, we look for the user. If it's found, then we're going to move on and we're going to validate the password. Okay, if the password passes, we're going to keep going and we're going to return the done function, okay, with the user. And then we're logged in. It's going to get added to the session. So that's how the local strategy works in a nutshell. Okay, the Google OAuth strategy for the next project will be much different. You can also have multiple strategies in one project, okay, just to let you know that. But I know that this may sound confusing, but hopefully as we move on through the course, you'll get a better idea of how Passport works, and you'll be able to use it in future projects because it is really powerful. All right, so in the next video, we're going to go ahead and install Passport along with the local strategy module.